most overrated athletes. Now, there's a difference in that because it sounds like you're saying somebody is not as good. I think what happens is you get overcovered. Overcovered makes you overrated. Yes, Ian.
Is this the Derek Jeter question? For most of his career, I mean, he obviously won a ton and was never really considered a great player.
Well, okay. First of all, let's kind of define this. It's not his fault.
Mm-mm.
It's our fault. We overcovered, over-dramatized everything that he did, all the captain, all of this stuff. I would say that he was overcovered. And yes, because of that, you're overrated. Danica Patrick.
Overcovered based off results.
Yes.
But still groundbreaking what she did. She didn't get to the finish line, no pun.
But can you separate the two? That, okay, she did overachieve given the obstacles, but she was overcovered, which would make her overrated. But she did make an impact on the sport, right? All right. Marv?
Anna Kournikova.
She made an impact on me.
Well said.
Thank you, Todd. Overcovered. Yeah, see, those two go hand in hand. If you're overcovered, that's going to make you overrated. Like, who's overcovered and not overrated? Yes, Eden.
So would that be how can you be overcovered and not over? Is that like LeBron? Is he overcovered and not overrated?
Yeah, I don't think he's overrated.
No, but he's
overcovered.
Probably overcovered.
He's overcovered. Was Deion Sanders overcovered? Underrated? I don't know. Bo Jackson, overcovered? Underrated? Ken Griffey Jr., overcovered? Underrated?
Overrated?
What? Yeah, Paulie.
I'll throw a couple boxers in there. Floyd Mayweather, when he was young, was pretty darn good. Then he became a avoid contact guy for his last decade.
Yeah.
And he was overrated, overcovered for most of his career. I think he's a lot of show without a lot of fantastic skills.
I just thought he was boring.
Yeah, especially the second half of his career. Oscar De La Hoya came up short a lot in big fights, but he was very famous and very well watched. I think the results weren't there for Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah. Yes, Todd.
I would say Mike Tyson overcovered, overrated, even though he was knocking people out left and right in the first, second round, who he fought. And once he got in the ring with real contenders, you saw how he struggled and got frustrated on crazy levels.
I think that's a great example. I've said before that in having been around that whole atmosphere, Mike didn't fight great fighters. And if he did, he didn't beat them. He was created. It was like Ronda Rousey, created. And then you go, oh, my God, this is a phenomenon. Now, to a different degree. But, Mike would fight, and it was carefully orchestrated. Don King did a great job lining up these guys where he'd go in, and he was a Marvel comic hero, and he'd knock these guys out. First round. When a boxer wins before they get into the ring, that is incredible. Having been ringside when Michael Spinks was waiting for Tyson. Ooh, man. If you could have said, Mike, do you want to leave, to Michael Spinks? How about you know what? Nobody in the audience is going to know. It was respectable, and you got knocked out in the 6th round. You good? Good. Okay, let's go. Marvis Frazier was there for that one. And you never wanted to be in the ring before Mike Tyson got in the ring. But they always did. They were like, they're waiting, and you go, oh, how long is this going to last? Better get in my bathroom break before this fight starts. Yes, Marv.
The aura of Mike Tyson with just a towel, black short shorts, and black. I mean, it was so scary. Somebody told me once, I had a family friend, my mom's friend. I was like, what was it like seeing Mike Tyson? He's like, imagine if Bo Jackson decided to box. That's how he looked.
Well, you just get that going into the ring, and Mike always seemed like that the car was still running outside. Hold on, hon. I'll be to Robin Gibbons. Hey, hon, hold on. Let me go knock this guy out, and I'll be out in about 60 seconds. And it truly felt that way. I've seen fear twice, like what I thought was true fear. One was Ken O'Brien of the Jets against Lawrence Taylor. And I'm sure I'm not being fair to Ken O'Brien by saying it was fear. Michael Spinks and the fear, the look in his eyes as Mike Tyson came in the ring. Of all the sport, 40 years. And those are the two times I remember Ken O'Brien and Lawrence Taylor came off of his blind side. And he looked, and you could just see his eyes through his helmet. I was on the sidelines, and I went, oh, my God. Like, he knew Lawrence was there. It was just a question of, do I have any time to get this pass off? But to watch Michael Spinks, who was an unbelievable light heavyweight, and all of a sudden, Mike gets ready to come in. And these guys are trying to act cool. Like, yeah, you know, I'm being like, okay, all right. And all of a sudden, when the crowd starts to make noise, I'm nervous. And he ain't going to punch me. And just to see Mike come in, and he makes Belichick look like well-dressed on the sidelines. He's got that ripped up towel that's over his head. I got no robe. I don't have any time for any nonsense here. Coming in, I'm going to knock you out, and then I got to go. Yes, Tom.
But if you weren't already intimidated just waiting for him in the corner or seeing him, get into the ring, that stare down in the center of the ring with his eyes going back and forth, that would totally get you if you haven't already been frightened by him.
Just watching him fight other people where you go, oh, my God, that's going to hurt. Oh, God, that's going to hurt. And when he'd give you the uppercut where he tried to drive your nose into your brain, and he even described that. But he described it in his voice where it didn't sound as scary. So it would sound like, what, Todd?
I'm going to beat your heart and eat your children. Praise be Allah. You don't want any part of me. You don't want any part of this. You better go back where you came from.
And then you add the, thank you. Always got to add the laugh.
With friends like that, who needs enemies, right there?
I got to get Tyson back on just so you can do his impression. Although he's not in a good mood because that Hulu did a documentary on him without Mike being involved in this. So
if I'm a Hulu exec, I'm out of the country for a few months on hiatus.